Hi, Stand
Hi,
Up
everyone.
Retail family. We are back. It is Carrie and Edward,
Hello.
and we are coming to you with another episode. This one in November, week 4.
Wow.
Wow, it is
Wow.
here. Oh my gosh, it's here. Like always, we aim to support, inspire, and develop your skills that are going to help you be more successful, be more engaged, and be just happier in your role within four-wall retail in the store environment. And I think this episode, which is my episode, I'm very excited, is something that's pretty spot on, and we'll cover some stuff that I think everybody in the store needs right now, considering Thanksgiving is this week.
Yes,
It's
I'm
here,
excited.
and then it's that run up right to Christmas and the after Christmas
Right.
return crush. So this episode is probably going to be the realest of real talk. Um, that we've gotten so far. And I'm just going to say, buckle up. We're going to be talking about kind of some uncomfortable stuff, nothing extreme, but what we're talking about is how to keep our calm under pressure.
Yeah, that's
And yeah, right, Edward? What do you think? What do you think of that topic for
well, I
like
mean,
the
it's
Thanksgiving week before Black Friday?
yeah, it's because if you think about it, if you're those of us that are in four-wall retail, more than likely in most places, holiday started in week 3 of October.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I've gotten
So,
feedback and I've gotten people who've reached out to me who said, their store, their employees, their colleagues and associates, in every role
yeah,
have been in holiday mode since coming back from furlough.
right. Exactly. I'm
Um,
sure. I'm
from
totally
COVID,
sure.
which is, it's incredible to think of operating at that high of
That
a stress
level.
level
Yeah.
for so long. So, with the added pressure of Black Friday coming up, we felt helping you guys, giving you some tips, some advice, and a few habits that might help you was something we wanted to do just because we know exactly how you feel. um, First, we're going to get our regular disclaimers out of the way. Obviously, we are not affiliated or funded by any retail organization or any corporation. This is completely self-funded content coming to you from Edward and myself. So if you like what we do and you want us to keep doing this, please give us a like, give us a follow, give us a suggest, tag people in the comments. We really need to grow the audience because we want to keep giving you an independent resource to help build your skill and make you better in the career that you have chosen to go into
Yeah.
for
So
however
true.
long or however short. Even if it's a temporary job, you deserve to be happy. And we wanted to give you an independent resource. So if you like what we're doing and you want us to do more, please hit that subscribe button, like us, share us on social media, and suggest us to coworkers or friends or family that you think might benefit from what we're offering here. Right, Edward?
Yeah, I totally agree. And also we want to hear from you.
Mhm.
Like send us your suggestions, topics that you want to hear about, things that you want to learn about, that, me and Carrie can see if we can curate something, from those of you that are listening in.
Yeah, if there's something you're struggling with out in the store, how to handle a certain situation, we are here for you as an independent resource that doesn't get filtered through all of that corporate structure. Because when you boil things down, when you boil issues down, a lot of the base issue is universal.
Right.
So if you're struggling with it out there in the world of the interwebs,
Someone
chances
else.
are there are a lot of other people in the
So
same
true.
situation who are also struggling with how to handle it. So please don't be shy. Our email is in the comment box below or the description box below, excuse me. And we want to hear from you. This also is just a conversation that Edward and I are having. All of these videos and podcasts and articles really are meant to support you and to challenge you and get you thinking a little differently. They are not meant to detract or distract you from any sort of program that your employer is offering you. Every employer has a program in there to help build skills and to develop you along whatever their specialization or whatever their business model is. So, Edward, you want to just give a quick recap about what you did last week? I thought last week's episode was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, sure. I'll definitely do that. So as you remember, guys, last week, if we discuss planning and structuring for success. So we talked about how to build a great structure or create a great structure within your workplace. We talked about the difference between a business structure, a business model structure, and an individual structure. How do you structure yourself in the role that you play within an organization? And how do you grow in that role? And one of the things that from me and Carrie's past that we were talking about, how do you bloom where you're planted?
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the topics. And then the other topic that we talked about were the 4 W's: the what, the why, the who, and the when. And we took those things that were most commonly known for planning. How do you set out a planning? But we took those roles and we remixed them up. And I gave Carrie a little bit of a left turn and had her
It was
thinking
awesome. I loved
how
it.
we could
I
use
did.
it. And we use it towards your self-development. So if you missed it, please check down in the description below. There'll be a link there and you can look at last week's episode.
Awesome. All right. So this week, how to keep your cool under pressure. So staying sane when you've got all this craziness coming at you is important.
How do you
So,
do that?
yeah. I mean, this is an emotional time of the year, right, Edward?
Yeah, it
I mean,
truly is.
your energy is gone. You really get into this reactive mode where you're on autopilot until something stops you from being on autopilot. And because you're tired, you've worked so many days in a row, you might not have gotten a break when you thought you were going to get a break, so you're just a little hangry.
Right.
And then that one word that comes out of a customer or coworker or a boss's mouth stops you from that autopilot mode and puts
Right.
you into reaction mode. And without understanding that and without recognizing some things in yourself as well as in others, you are going to more than likely make a couple of bad decisions on how you handle it. It will happen. And the better prepared you are for when it happens, the easier it's going to be for you when it happens. And you're not going to have to backtrack and rebuild a work relationship or, kind of tuck your tail or worry that how you handled something is going to impact the longevity of your success. It's really important for you to understand that how you react in those moments can have an
Right.
extremely positive outcome, and help you it just keeps going. The day keeps going and you get through your shift, or you turn out to be the shining star because you handled the pressure better than anticipated.
Right.
Or it can have the exact opposite effect. And it can have an extremely negative effect, not only on you, potentially your career path, in terms of slowing it down, because people might think that you might not be ready because you can't handle some pressure situations. But it also can impact the company image. It can impact your store's image.
Mhm.
And it can impact how other people on your team look at you,
Right.
and you can disintegrate some trust based on how you handle pressure. So we're going to talk about 3 ways of handling pressure that come up during the holiday season. They come up year round, but they really start grating at us during holiday, and we start slipping and making those snap judgments and those quick reactions that are based in emotion, and they
Yeah.
can really interrupt the course of the day, the week, or the month. So we're going to talk about keeping our cool with customers, keeping our cool with our coworkers or our peers, as well as keeping your cool with your supervisor or other elevated positions. Okay. So just a quick story to let you know that everybody loses their ish sometimes. I could give you a lot of stories of when I lost my cool. I'm sure you can. You're nodding your head, Edward. I'm guessing you have quite a few stories of when you lost it and you couldn't handle the pressure.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you one about dust.
Okay.
And we all work in a store or for a company. I mean, this actually is pretty relevant for any industry, I think, where before something big, like a big event, a big sale, a big promotion for the company, or maybe even a big publicity opportunity for a company or a store presents itself, and everyone above you and alongside you and below you in terms of hierarchy is preparing for that. Now, when you are a leader, you have to be preparing on your own level, understand what's being prepared above you, and also direct the preparations below you. And a lot of stuff slips through the cracks. This actually is another story about being ambushed, and I was ambushed on the floor one day by an extremely senior level executive, and we were a couple of weeks out from a really big promotional celebrity event, actually. And when I say this was a senior level person, this was about 3 levels above me. So yeah, big. And I remember, just doing my normal thing. I was supervising the floor. I was trying to drive results. I was stopping and I was giving assistance where needed. I was responding to pages on our pager system. I was stopping and assisting customers, giving direction, trying to help jump in and seal the sale. I was close to fine jewelry, so I was helping in watches, or I was helping, when you are on a floor in the middle of chaos, you stop and you have all these little micro moments that happen to you that don't necessarily aren't necessarily part of your plan for the day, right? And this executive scooped me up and said, walk with me. And that's what I knew. Okay. What questions are going to be asked? What was I supposed to be working on? What's on my to-do list? What are they working on? And like this whole litany of questions kind of goes through your mind to try and prepare to answer for whatever question that they ask. And the question that was asked was, they pointed at a department. It was a handbag department. They pointed at a handbag department and they said, what do you see? And what I saw was
a handbag.
A lot of things. I saw, yes, I saw handbags, but what I saw was a lot of things. And what I didn't see was the simplest thing that they were asking me, which was the fact that the department hadn't been dusted. And I gave like 4 or 5 things off the top of my head that I didn't see. Oh, that lock is unlocked, so it's not secured, and that's not protocol, and that didn't get filled in, and this looks a little, that's not straight, and oh, that person's slouching at the counter. And I was giving all of the feedback of what I saw, but I did not see the dust because I was looking at something not basic. I was and after everything I said, no, I really, if you can't see this, I honestly, I don't know how you got to this position. And that really slowed me down. And it wasn't said in a bad tone. And I just kept saying things, and like the other person's tone slowly started to change because they started getting frustrated because I couldn't see what they saw. And finally, they turned to me and said, get a duster. There's dust everywhere. And I said, oh, it's about the dust. All of this was about the dust. And the person looked back to me and said, yeah, the dust on the $600 handbag. How are you going to fix it? Yeah. And there's chaos going on all around me. And I will be the first to admit I did not handle it well. And I turned and I said, I guess I'm going to find a duster then, aren't I? And I turned around and I walked away. And I came back and I dusted that department angrily and put the duster back and gave my feedback to the executive who was in that department, who also didn't see the dust, and then realized I shouldn't be angry at that person. I should be angry. Well, not maybe not even angry, but I should be disappointed that I didn't see it. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I basically just didn't tell off my boss's boss's boss, but I basically just stormed away from my boss's boss's boss. And that's not good. So when you fall into these traps of reacting emotionally, it's not that how I reacted was incorrect. I mean, yeah, I should have seen the dust. But my emotion in that moment made me answer the question in a way that didn't sound like I cared.
Right.
And didn't know. And all of a sudden my role disappeared. And all of a sudden I became the person dusting and not doing what I should have been doing.
Right.
Which truly was the lesson. There's lots of times that happened. Edward, do you have an example of when you lost your cool because like you ended up reacting emotionally to a supervisor?
Yeah.
You don't need to share it.
Yeah, I totally
But
have. And I get it. And it's the scenario pretty much ended the same way it did. I mean, you know me, but I think I was a little bit more animated than normal. And I think not only did it shock me, but it also shocked that supervisor. But yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your passion for your job often comes out in weird ways.
Yes.
So, reacting emotionally, I've seen a lot of former coworkers of mine say, I'm not being snappy with you, I'm just being passionate. And like, I always found it hilarious because I'm like, no, you're being snappy with me. But if you truly are passionate, the other person should understand that it's a moment.
Right.
And if you've built a relationship with that supervisor or that employee or that colleague that's a peer, you should be able to go back and say, hey, man, I'm sorry, it was a moment.
Right.
But oftentimes, if you don't have a relationship, that part never happens. The second half of it doesn't happen. Luckily, I saw that high-level executive a lot because they walked my area every single day when they came into the office area for that organization. And so it was fine. And I was able to be like, like you caught me at a moment, I didn't get it. And we ended up having a really good conversation, but it was because I realized I shouldn't have reacted that way. And I also had a relationship enough where I was able to come back to do that. What we're going to do today is try and teach you not to do what I did. Not to do what I did. And at least
if it does come to that, there is some tact.
Yes.
And it's done respectfully.
Yes. So with customers, losing your cool with customers happens all the time. Basically because difficult situations happen and people shop year round, and their intention coming into your location is different than your intention. And a
Right.
lot of times, having a customer try to remember all the different return policies for every single organization that they shop in and this, that, or the other thing. And it's equally difficult to be a customer out in the marketplace as it is to be an employee in the retail marketplace.
Right.
But during the holiday shopping season, people lose their damn minds over things that we feel as an employee in that location. We feel those things aren't important, but to a customer, they are critical. They're very, very important. Like what's important to them is not always relevant to us, but that still doesn't mean the emotion's gonna be easier for you to handle when that negativity comes at you.
Exactly.
But what's generally worse is when that challenging interaction becomes personalized, because then you, the worker in the location, you get pulled into an argument, and or you refuse to help, or you walk away, or you choose some words you shouldn't have chosen. And that's when it becomes personal, you will react
Right.
emotionally.
Right.
The challenge is, how do you not have it get to that point? So a lot of times when you're dealing with a challenging customer situation and you're under pressure, the solution seems like something that you can't do. And a lot of times it is something, regardless of your position, when the situation eventually makes its way to you, whether you are behind a cash register or you're stocking a table, and the person is asking if something is in the back. You got more of that in the back? I need a size small.
Or you're
And
folding a table and as you progress down the table, someone behind you is unfolding everything that you did.
yeah. So regardless of what your position is, by the time a difficult situation gets to you, it's probably been through a few other people.
Right.
And you can interrupt that pattern very easily, by listening, repeating, and asking them if you really understand what they're asking.
Right.
Now, it sounds weird. I know it sounds weird.
And it sounds like you may think that it's a lot, but it really isn't.
No, because the suggestion isn't to listen and then repeat it back in different words. Repeat it back to the customer in the words that they used.
Right.
So a lot of times a customer is coming in with their hackles up and they're ready to fight. And they've got a speech all planned, and they've practiced it in the car before they came in with the thing that is out, 2 years outside of the return policy. And they are ready to they are going to get their money back.
Right.
And what happens if you answer their question with your company policy is they think you didn't hear them.
Right.
And then they ask for somebody else. And then it goes to somebody else. And a lot of times when it goes to somebody else, you're explaining what happened and you say, well, I explained that we couldn't do it because it's not policy.
Right.
Again, the customer continues, or, you could even translate this to a coworker interaction.
Right.
If you can really repeat back what they said in their own words, sometimes it helps that person actually hear it, because in their mind they might think, oh, this is so logical. But if they're coming in with emotion, it's probably not as logical as they think it is. So using their own words is very, very helpful. So, and applying this to even a peer situation, or a supervisor situation is very, very good, because a lot of times, Edward, even drive-by fast feedback that you get from a supervisor comes out so quickly and is rushed that it's not clear.
Right.
Um,
It's so true. And the interesting thing is that about retail, especially four-wall retail, if you think about it, the experts that work within the four wall retail, they also have experience at being the customer.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So you have that understanding within you because you play that role as a consumer yourself.
Mhm.
So when you're dealing with a difficult customer, I that's why I love the examples about you just put out about, listening, repeating, and then getting to get clarification, because those are very, very important. Because I like to tell people that 9 times out of 10, especially when it comes to a difficult customer, about 85 to 90% of that whole presentation is
Mhm.
emotions.
Yeah.
It really is.
100%.
It's
100%.
emotion. The other 15 to 10% is the actuality of what they're standing in or what they want done. And a
Yep.
lot of times we, as the individual that's dealing with the difficult customer, difficult client, we get caught up in the 85 to 95% of the emotion
Yeah.
and not focus on that 10%, which is what you did
Mhm.
when you were clarifying and repeating back in their words what they were saying. That's that 10%.
Yeah. And quite frankly, that helped me
Yeah.
understand the issue and realize, like, in my mind, that it was not personal. This
Right.
is this like they're coming to me with all of this.
Yeah.
And if I repeat it back to them and they see what they're bringing to me,
Hmm.
um, that's me taking me not necessarily putting it back onto the customer or my coworker, but that is me being able to take the time to mentally understand, look, this is not personal and this is not
Right.
directed at me. This is what
Right.
this person is asking me to do, or this is what this one person has actually said. And I just want to make sure that's really what they meant to say. And a lot of times the customer or your coworker will reframe what they're saying into something that's a little more understandable or less emotional.
Right.
But I think above and beyond that, it just helps you as the person behind the cash register maintain your own control. Because a lot of times we start to react emotionally because all of a sudden we feel like it's now out of control and it's in that other person's hands.
Yeah.
And we go into reaction mode. So
And it
when
becomes a
we can make,
battle.
yes, and it becomes a back and forth. It doesn't need to be a back and forth. If you're just repeating back what they said, it's still their side of the story.
Mhm.
That one tip was a game changer for me. And it helped me help customers with really emotional responses to the tiniest little thing, all the way up to people trying to return, you know, 5-digit pieces of fine jewelry, um, that when diamond tested weren't 5-digit pieces of
Pieces of
fine
jewelry.
jewelry.
Mm, wow.
um,
I don't know.
so
I think I might be emotional about that too.
I was quite emotional, but I used this. I used this template. Trust me. Um, so that's one great way of keeping your cool with customers, and it doesn't take a lot of time. Um, you don't want to use your words because your words are going to, chances are your words are going to be more based in um, why you can't, which will
Right.
then just keep the back and forth going,
Mhm.
instead of just really starting to get that clarification around what they're asking you. Because
Right.
a lot of times the customer will then see that what they're asking really isn't appropriate.
Mhm.
And if there's 20 people behind them, they then have the pressure to try and
Right.
justify it and justify making this person wait for something that's
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Well,
So,
and then, not for anything real quick, because I know that we're moving along here,
mhm.
but like you said, when you do have that line and that customer, those customers in line are watching you, it eases their mind thought also
Yep.
if you're able to de-escalate and resolve in a proper way or a respectful way, it eases that whole tension of everyone else that witnessed it. So when they come up, they have more empathy for you
Yes.
when
Yeah.
they're doing a return.
And the great thing is coming back with that initial customer's words then allows you to not use the terms, well, I can't because
Right.
it allows you, because they've taken a moment, because you asked them if you really understood them, for
Right.
you to come back and say, well, this is what I can do.
Right.
And then if they disagree, you can say, okay, well, I let you know what I can do. Let me reach out to someone
Right.
else. And by keeping the focus on you being the problem solver, it's a lot easier to handle those situations. And like you said, it actually builds confidence from other
Mhm.
customers who might be deeper in the line. And it helps you get through the system or get through that process with that one customer quicker. Now, as a leader, yeah, what I just talked about, repeating things back to someone who may have said something to you is very relevant. Um,
Mhm.
However, I want to talk about your phone or your walkie-talkie etiquette during Q4 instead. This one is so simple, but it helps you get ahead of the issue
Mhm.
and de-escalate it before it becomes an issue.
Right.
And that's why I say walkie and phone etiquette, because your phone goes off your phone is ringing nonstop, and your walkie is, you're getting paged to go here, go there, go everywhere. Um, if you do three things when that phone rings, you will immediately get that person on the other end of the line talking differently. One, identify yourself. It does not matter
Right.
if you think somebody has worked with you forever and they know that that's your extension. Just identify yourself, because if somebody is emotional, they may have accidentally dialed the wrong number.
Right.
Somebody. So, identify yourself and then immediately ask them, how can you help? So, hi, this is Carrie. How can I help? Immediately, the person on the other end of the line knows that you're ready to assist them in some capacity.
Right.
That will usually slow somebody down on the other end of the line um, pretty quickly. Or it helps them rethink what they were going to say in terms of how you can actually help.
Right.
And the other thing is asking clarification, saying, can you tell me any details so I arrive prepared?
Right.
Tips. Is there anything else? I mean, how do you think phone etiquette changes during Q4, Edward?
Well, it's to your point. I think it's very important, like you said, that you identifying yourself is very important, just in case someone did dial the wrong number. But if you are cool and you're calm and you look at it the same way and you listen, I would always ask for detail. Give me any detail that you can. And I would normally try to express for the detail without emotion.
Mhm.
So, because a lot of times what happens is you as a supervisor, you're listening, but you could tell that the colleague that's telling you the story is frustrated or upset, and you hear their emotion in telling you the story. So as long as they understand that they're giving you the information, I like to let them know, just give me a brief description of what's going on and what happened. I know I understand that you're probably frustrated right now, but I just need the key points, key details of
Yeah.
what I'm walking into.
Yeah, even saying something like, I just need you to tell me what the customer is asking you to do.
Right. Exactly.
Um, but I think that's one quick tip for anyone in a supervisory position. If you identify yourself and you cut to the quick and you say, what can I do to help you?
Mhm.
And then ask for clarification. What did that other person say? Or what
Right.
is that other person asking you to do?
Mhm.
That detail is really all you need, because then it helps you as the supervisor not go into the situation emotionally. Yeah.
You do have There are those difficult customers that are just downright difficult. And that's
Mhm.
about, 2 to 3% of your actual
Oh,
customer
it's very,
orders.
very small.
It's
It is
very,
small.
very, very small. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in those situations where we take that 2% of those that are really disrespectful to you as an employee, to
Mhm.
you as an employee, or you trying to provide a service to someone like that.
Yeah.
That does happen and it does exist. And we're not saying that it would never happen. It happens.
And chances
And
are that conversation is not one that if you're behind a register or you're folding a table and you're an hourly, that's not a conversation that you
you should be
should
having.
be having.
Yeah.
So moving on, very quickly, peer-to-peer challenges do happen more often, I would say, in Q4 than
Mhm.
any other time of the year.
Yeah.
And it truly is because schedules change, expectations are heightened, and everyone needs to be agile and everyone wants to win. If you are in a supervisory capacity, your goal is to get through holiday successfully, but also beat your goals.
Mhm.
And that can be very stressful because sometimes one person's goal may get in the way of another person achieving their goal. And that's where sometimes some friction happens. You have to understand what your personal triggers are, and I would suggest that this is something that gets brought up to your entire leadership team. Know what your triggers are. If you're comfortable with each other, you should be
You're
able to
able to
say
have those
mine is
conversations.
I need to be able to eat.
Yeah.
Because if you're comfortable with each other and you have a good team mentality,
Mhm.
understanding what other people's triggers are means you're going to either avoid it or you're going to then say, up, they just haven't had their break in time, so I'm not going to take it personally. And there goes the emotion. The emotion's gone.
Mhm.
You might say, you know what? You're being a little blunt. Um, have you taken your break yet? I'm totally understanding what you're telling me right now. I know you might need to take a moment and then we'll talk about this.
Mhm.
Awesome. And it could be something that quick. And then finally with supervisors, um, this is probably the most important one just because one quick moment with your supervisor or your boss's boss's boss, um, from my story, could impact your entire career path.
Yes, it definitely can.
Or it could impact your timeline, just like coworker or customer interactions. Um, your boss is 100% going to do something to set you off.
Yeah.
They are.
It'll happen. It
It's
always
going to happen. It's going to happen anytime during the year. It's probably going to happen more frequently during Q4 and the lead up because everybody is racing to try and make their goals for the year.
even the best boss or supervisor to direct report relationships, those best relationships,
Mhm.
these things happen.
Oh, they get
They happen.
tested.
Yeah.
They get tested really, really well.
Right.
So, is there anything else that you think are helpful? I wanted to keep this as simple as possible. And a
No.
lot of it is listening, repeating with the other person's
Excuse me.
words, and then recognizing your own triggers.
Yeah,
That's really,
exactly.
if I were to boil this episode down, whether you're dealing with customers or peer to
Peers
peer, or
or your
whether it's
boss.
a supervisor,
Yeah.
it's about listening, repeating back what that person is asking you to do in their words, and then giving yourself time to be more positive in your response, even if it means that you can't do it. So, is there anything else, Edward?
No, I mean, this was a great topic. It was really, really good. I think we dealt a lot of with the emotions. And I hope that we were able to relay that a lot of this time of year is built on emotions.
Yeah.
So definitely. No, this was a great topic. Great topics. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we're just going to ask you to like, subscribe, and we want you to tell us what you need as well.
Right.
Take
Exactly.
suggestions all day, every day. But other than that, Edward, do you want to give them a sneak peek about what we're going to talk about next week, first week of December?
Yeah. So going into December after getting through Black Friday, we're going to talk about the two E's:
What are the two
engagement,
E's?
and empowerment. So
Nice.
we'll
Okay.
cover those topics next week. So we have some good pointers coming out for you and what that
Awesome.
looks like and how to use it. Me too.
You want to take us out, Edward?
Sure. So, as me and Carrie always say, take ownership of your success. We're here to be a catalyst to help you with that. So, always remember to walk with a purpose no matter where you are and what you do, my friends. And we're here for you. And we will see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.